All right. It's another good evening. Thoughts are things. And today we'll be talking about magnet of resources at our May hangout. And we'll be having a book review about Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. We want to learn about the principles of attracting resources and wealth, the secrets of living through abundance, and how to leverage the power of our mind. Most of the time we wonder why some people always attract opportunities. Any job opportunity comes to them, business opportunities to pass through them, any resources. Some people will even be chasing them, we know, but some people will keep looking and searching, but they will not find. This is a worthy secret to know. Also, it's predominant that a lot of people feel like prayer is enough. Once you pray, once you fast, you should be expecting miracles. However, what does God work with? Is it only about fasting and praying? What are you doing? What are the practical steps that you are doing that God can leverage on to bless you? So, via the book review, we'll be breaking down the principles of being a magnet of resources and what is most important in becoming somebody of value that people want to identify with or people want to trust with their resources. So my name is Oloruntobi Ojo, and I'm the founder of Thriving While Waiting. Thriving While Waiting started in 2020, July, and we are a community of purposeful women helping single ladies or yet to marry women live purposeful and fulfilled life. We understand that Africans love marriage, a good number of community love marriage. And because of that, there's a kind of pressure it puts on women when they seem to be taking time, or it seems to be like the right time or the target time that the community has set for them is passing by. So in a bid to live up to this, a lot of them drop their life goals, their life ambitions, their passion, their interests, and begin to pursue, I just want to marry. So we realize that a lot of people lose value over time. For some people, it's going to happen early. For some people, it's not going to be so early. So in the midst of doing that, what are you doing with your life? What value are you adding to the community? How are you becoming somebody that has beauty to the community? So what does it mean to thrive? For us, it means to prosper, to be fortunate, to be successful in everything you are doing, in your relationships, in your career, in your business, spiritually, in all areas of life. Be fortunate, be successful, expand, and be an addition to the community. It means to progress towards or to realize a goal despite or because of circumstances. What are our objectives? We want to build the growth of a total woman that utilizes opportunities and resources positively. We realize that a lot of people in this category, because they have moved focus to just marriage, they lose out on good relationships that could have blessed their life, opportunities that could have changed their destiny, and then they waste resources because their focus is not on living a fulfilled life anymore. We want to build a community of thriving women that overcome the hassles of being single and direct their focus to growth in all areas of life, discovering and developing their potentials, living a meaningful and fulfilled life. We want to build women that uses the waiting period to add beauty to life while retaining the tenets of biblical marriage. So you're welcome to our community. Our values: we believe in marriage, we believe in family, we believe in purpose, we believe in being intentional. Nothing happens by accident. If we didn't take any action, this meeting will not be happening today. We believe in living your best life. We believe in the tenets of biblical marriage. The community is Christian-based, and we are accommodating. So today, Magnet of Resources, session 1, we'll be having a book review, like I mentioned, Think and Grow Rich. And in a short while, our speaker is already on board, I'll be going straight to introducing him. Okay, Olumide Ojo, incidentally, is my son namesake. Okay. So Olumide is a botanist, agricultural entrepreneur, and a life coach for teenagers. He's the founder and chief agricultural officer of North Scallion Enterprise, a private agricultural enterprise that focuses on pork production and agricultural soil analysis. He holds a bachelor's degree from the University of Ife. Okay, used to be University of Ife, it's now Obafemi Awolowo University, and an agricultural degree from LLFG Eden, Germany. Olumide is skilled in public speaking and psychology. He's passionate about helping teenagers and as many other people in different age groups reach their full potentials in the midst of the dysfunctional chaos prevalent in the society. And you agree with me that the chaos going on is not small, from all kinds of development and propositions and all kinds of things that is being legalized. It's a whole lot going on. So it's a good addition. Thank you so much, Olumide, for joining us. You are welcome to this session today, and we are so happy to have you here. So
thank you for having me.
Over to you now.
Thank you to the noble moderator for this special opportunity. Thank you for everyone for having me. So as we said, she has given us a deep glimpse about things that happen to people. Why are some people more attractive to good things in life or good people in life as compared to other people that have negative things happening their way? So in just a nutshell, the book Think and Grow Rich, it impacts on you differently at any point in life at which you meet it. Some people came across the book in their teenage years, some 20s, in their 30s, and some people in their 40s and 50s. And everybody would admit that while reading that book, that it actually cuts a deep edge of knowledge into them at this point. So, but I would like to start based on asking like a question. Like, you might think that when you talk about these things, thoughts, how important are your thoughts? And as Napoleon Hill said, thoughts are things. Yes, they are things in the realest form of everything. Because why do you think if you could cross a bridge with your eyes closed, but once you think that you cannot cross that bridge, something that is simple for you, you are going to struggle with it. For example, they usually use the elephant that was tied to a pole while it was young. But the fact that I couldn't pull the pole off while it was young, when it grew up, I had enough strength to pull the pole off. But for the fact that he still thought to himself that I can't pull this off because of that small thought, even when he had the strength, therefore he became a slave to that pole. So it is, our thoughts are very powerful. And what we can get from that is, even as a psychology enthusiast, is that there are three parts of the human being virtually that can vibrate. And a lot of people haven't really sat down to imagine that. But there are actually three parts. Number one, it's what you say with your words. Like for anybody speaking right now, if you feel your throat, you feel the vibrations. Number three is your sexual organs, because that's how life is given to other people, how everyone was born and things like that. And number three is your thoughts. Your thoughts are so powerful that if you think about something so long enough, it starts to possess you either in the negative tone or in the positive tone. So it is very, very important the way we think about our thoughts. You know, a lot of people just think, oh, if I just keep thinking in this way, these thoughts about things don't happen. But one way or the other, if we could just take a little look back in our lives about everything we've done that we succeeded at, we'll have thought that these steps that Napoleon Hill was describing here, we actually put some of those things into practice, which were, it could be the exam you passed as a primary school student. You'll have observed that you planned for it. You imagined the success. You wanted the success. You believed at that point you were going to get the success, and you had that success. So it is very important. And number three, I would like to briefly move into is when you talk about the brain or the mind, I'll briefly like to ask if anyone could answer me. I really appreciate if one or two people could help me out with that question. Is the big question is, what is your brain and what is your mind? Anyone in the house, if you can answer that, please. The brain and the mind. The brain and the mind. The brain and the mind. Anyone?
We can either open up, you can unmute or drop in the chat room.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Okay. So anyone with the answer to the question, just your mind. Okay. Somebody gave a brilliant answer. This is the brain, thought, brain, thinking capacity, thought capacity, things like that. But if we really look at it on a deeper level, we would find out that actually, when you talk about the mind and the brain, you're actually talking about the same thing. The mind is actually a psychological term for the brain, while the brain is a medical term for the mind. So it's just two schools of thought, the psychologist and the medical, or the medicologist or the medical doctors trying to call the one and the same thing. And it's so important because the brain and the mind, it's the moment we try to really recognize it as one, it becomes very important for us at that point that it is. So as I was saying, because the brain, your thoughts are your vibrations. They increase the vibrations either negatively or positively. For example, if somebody calls himself an idiot and he thinks about it long enough, for some reason or the other, the person becomes an idiot, starts acting like one. Once he starts thinking like one, he starts acting like one, and things that happen to idiots start happening to him. So also it's that very much with everyone. Is that very much alike with everyone? And this principle is so powerful. It's so powerful to the extent that there was a quote in that book, a very important quote. It said, "I am the master of my fate and the captain of my soul," which means life will throw things at you. People will throw things at you. But at the end of the day, how you feel, how you choose to feel, I am the captain of my soul. It depends on you. I am the master of my fate. That means what you do depends on you. Because, for example, through life, many of us we've tried to blame different people for some of the many failures we've had. For example, in school time, you've had people that come to you, and when the person feels, they say, "Oh, WAEC failed me," or "my lecturer failed me," or "they gave me 29F," or "they gave me this," or "it's Buhari," or "it's Tinubu," or "it's one person or the other." But a good principle from this book that actually comes is the fact that until a man starts to accept responsibility for his own successes and his own failures, or his or her own failures, that person will not start moving forward. So it's something we all have to look deeply into, is that if you can just start from today, every failure you have, every setback you have, if you can just start admitting responsibility for it today, you would see that your life would start moving forward in a very powerful way. It's a very powerful principle highlighted in this book. And I believe if you follow these things, you are going to have a swell time living on this planet. Yeah. So as I was saying, it's also, if you check our slide, it says the greatest form of change. There was a quote in England from many, many years ago on a statue. It says, when I was young, I wanted to change the world. Then when I grew up, I decided to change. I said I'll try to change my country. When I got to my 60s, I decided I'll try to change my state. When I got to my 70s, I discovered I wanted to change just my district. And on a deathbed, the man just thought, oh, I wish I could have just changed myself. So the greatest form of change for anybody is your mind, is you yourself, changing yourself. If you don't change yourself, your thinking, starting with your thinking, those little thoughts you think about, those little patterns you think about. Are you good enough? Am I fine? Am I beautiful enough? Am I handsome enough? Those type of thoughts, the moment you change them, you actually start going on your way to changing yourself, changing your community, changing other people's lives, and to the extent of changing the world. It's so powerful as it is in that extent. So also one of the very basic principles that was highlighted in this book is, it's very thought-provoking, was the principle of planning. What plans do you have? What the biggest question that actually comes from the book is, many of us think we want, I like this, I like that. But have we ever actually asked ourselves, what do I want? For example, being single or looking for a job. A lot of us don't get headway until you actually sit down and ask yourself, what do I really, really, really want from the bottom of your heart? Not what your parents want, not what society expects from you, but what do you really, really, really want? And once you're able to find the answer of what you really want, what you want from life, what you want from marriage, what you want from society, then the next thing is, how do you get it? And asking yourself, how do you get it? And asking yourself, how do you get it? It's actually a very powerful thing, because one person once says, as Robert Kiyosaki once said, he says, a statement closes your mind while a question opens your mind. So imagine if you said you need 200,000 today. If you said, I don't need it. If you say to yourself, I can't find it, then most likely you're not going to be able to get it. But the moment you start asking yourself, how can I really get this thing? Then the idea starts to come. You open a channel of thinking into your thoughts. And in this way,
Is it only me that cannot hear him?
I can't hear him too, ma.
Okay, all right. So let's wait for him to join again. I guess he was logged out.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Okay, you're back. Welcome back.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
can hear you.
Sorry for the glitch.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So as I was saying, Napoleon Hill put these principles, success principles, into the hands of each and everyone that picks up this book at any point in time to read. And they are so practical that each and everybody can get to use it. For example, to show how powerful the thoughts are, the way we think, the patterns of how we think are as powerful, I like to share a story from, for example, when I was in the university, there was this course we just wanted to do this like maths, and I'd prepared for it, I'd done everything I ought to do for it. But on getting to the exam hall, I just started doubting myself. Oh, I'm not good enough to do this. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this. And the simple questions that I would have just ordinarily answered, I just froze because of that thought, because of those thoughts of doubt. And it just held me back. And it was so terrible that I couldn't even perform anything tangible. And, it was so bad that immediately I left the exam hall, I was so hurt that I just started asking the Almighty for forgiveness, that this was something very easy to do. But because of your own limitations, and that's why Napoleon Hill once said in that book, he said, there are not really many limitations as compared to the ones we build up in our minds to form all these things. And I think if you look at in the Bible, it really comes to that as well, because it says that um, putting down thoughts, casting down imaginations, and bringing down every stronghold. And that's the principle. If you've observed in life that thoughts follow, first it comes as a thought, either it's good, it's positive, or it's negative, or it's bad. Then it comes as an imagination. Of course, bad thoughts produce bad imaginations. And the more you focus on it, even at the imaginational level, you just find out at a point that even without thinking much, it becomes a stronghold. So if you are thinking of success all the time, you imagine it all the time, it becomes a positive stronghold. That even when you don't really want to succeed, you find yourself doing things that will make you succeed, having the mentality of a champion, having the winner's mindset all the time, even when every other person might seem down and out. So it's so much that way. And also, vice versa, on the negative aspect, if you keep thinking about a bad thought, then you start imagining bad imaginations, negative imaginations. Before you know, it just becomes a stronghold too. And you just keep falling, spiraling down in those thoughts. You keep doing those things. And it's so much possible because even, for example, if you, the title of this thing, Magnet of Resources, it shows even from the way a lot of people speak. For example, um if you think low of yourself, if you have a low esteem of self-esteem, if you have a low mindset of yourself, a low self image of yourself, the way you speak to people, the way you approach people, it's so timid, it's um so very, very frigid in the point at which even people are more or less going to be disgusted by you. People don't want to buy things from you. For example, if you're a salesman and you're just so timid in the way you approach people and things like that. So it shows from what you do, because it was evident in biblical times as well, biblical accounts of how did the serpent or the devil, how did he trick Eve? The first thing was that he got her to think low of herself. So, but Napoleon Hill tells us from this book that the first thing you have to change about how do you think about yourself. You have to find the positive things, the positive energy to think about yourself at all the time about your self-worth, no matter where you come from. you have to know that there's something good about you. There's something positive about you that nobody else has. And you have to key into that to build your self-worth, your self-image, and you have to keep doing those things, building those things. And by the time you do it, you start, and then it becomes a stronghold for goodness, which even while you are not really struggling, these things come to you. So, and that's why at a point in time when you just feel like you've prayed, you've done certain things, but still things aren't working for you, it's actually your thoughts. Because there was a pastor in old time America. The man had a lot of people that listened to him. So when they listened to him, but the man had a problem. He wasn't financially okay at all. And he was a preacher that had influence of people. But when he was asked, sir, what is your view about money? He said, oh, money is filthy lucre. Filthy lucre, that's what the Bible calls it. You don't need much of it. It will taint your character and everything. So, but when he met with somebody that was quite knowledgeable about the issue, and the person told him, but have you forgotten that you can't just speak about what um, Paul said in the book of Timothy? You have to think about what he was saying about money in the first place, that money actually doesn't make anyone filthy. Money actually takes about the character of the person having it. And when this pastor started changing his mind about money, things started going well for him. He had a radio station, started growing, had his finances increased, and things like that. So you'll be amazed about the things that can actually happen to you, the changes that can happen to you in your life once you first start fixing what's between your mind, between your ears, which is your greatest asset, your mind, because we all have body parts. But we'll admit that. What do you think it's in a pig that a man does not have? What do you think a cow has that a human being does not have? What do you think is the advantage of a man over a horse, or the advantage of a man over a dog or a cat? It is the mind. It is the mind, because we can think, because human beings are the only ones, because of our mind, that can live by distinct and not by instinct. And if you really, really think about these things. So because of time, I would like to briefly summarize these things that is going to happen about what will happen when you change the way you think. So I've said the imagination is just a mental picture of how you see yourself, how you see life, how you see things and everything. Einstein once said that imagination is a seed for everything that is to come. But the truth is, your imaginations are only found by the knowledge you have. And that's why Napoleon, he was very specific about having the right knowledge about anything you want to do. Do you want to be great in life in your field? You need the right knowledge, the specialized knowledge to be able to do that. And when you have knowledge, you can start imagining things along. You can guide your imaginations in that sense. And I think that's why you've always found that people that read well are more imaginative. They can conquer more with their imaginations than people that read less or don't read at all. So this is what we could get from this very good book and everything like that. So it is Napoleon Hill also said something about when you use chaos to your own advantage, because most times we discover that the greatest discoveries made about ourselves are the ones we've gotten at the lowest herbs of our lives, lowest moments of our lives, perhaps after a heartbreak, a catastrophic career issue, or something terrible just happening. But at that point, we see ourselves, our true selves. We're introduced to our true selves. Then at that point, you find out actually what you can act. Who are you? What's your actual purpose? What's your what's the thing that makes you unique from everybody else? It makes you understand that you are not just anybody. You are unique to these things, and that's why it shows you that you can use every chaos to your advantage. So you can come back from every setback but it all depends on how you think about it from um, between your ears, your mind, using your mind. And you can also put it in this simple way that I've from experience, a lot of people have asked the question from this book, and I think you also might, while reading, you might ask that. For example, if this is not your first time reading the book, maybe you've read it, or you've heard a summary, you've watched an audio book or a video ebook about it, the summary and everything like that. You've wondered, and I've tried these methods, I've done everything, and goodness doesn't seem to come towards me in different places and everything like that. But I think from working with people and asking them about this particular book, about why this thing, you could always sum it up that the thing that hinders people, even after getting knowledge from such a powerful book as this, is number one, your location. Your location is very important, because a lot of people don't do that, because you might have noticed some people, they were looking for certain things. Maybe they were looking for a spouse, a job, something, and while they kept in one location, it never happens for them. But the moment they just leave that particular location and they apply these principles, and voila, everything just comes in place for them, and things like that happening with them. So is your location, who are you living with? Who are the people um, you associate with the closest? Are they people that bring you down with the words they speak? Are they people that tear down your self-esteem? Because once you don't have your self-worth, the right self-esteem, the right mental image of yourself, no matter how much you try to put this book in perspective, the skill set from this book, the knowledge from this book, you find out that it's not just working for you in the light of that. So that's why I'd like to encourage you, if you've been using these principles and one way or the other, you find that it's not been working, just check your location, check the people around you. And I believe with that, it's something that can really, really work for you. So, but as I said, it starts with asking yourself, what do I really want? Is it in your choice of a spouse? What do you really, really want? And when you open that, when you find out what you really want, you have the knowledge to sift out what life from life, what is thrown at you, and what you really, really want to take out of it. You don't just go for everything. You don't go for every person that comes to you. Don't go for every opportunity that is thrown at you, because you know what you want and where you are going at that point. And I believe it's a very, very important factor, which you have to really put in place at all times, because Nightingale once said, a famous American psychologist once said, he said, you become what you think about. So I like to pose this challenge to all of us today. What are you thinking about? How do you see yourself in your innermost thoughts? In Napoleon Hill also talks about the brain and subconscious mind. So what are you giving your mind on a daily basis? Then, because what you give your mind on a daily basis is what your subconscious mind, the mind that works even after you are done, um, in the day when you are dreaming, it keeps on going and it keeps connecting to what we know as the ether, the communication material in the universe around the earth, that brings to you either good or bad based on what you think. How do you see yourself? What is the thing that drives you the most? The thoughts, the imaginations, the passions that drive you the most? Because these things really matter in being able to apply these principles. So I believe with this period, I believe I can briefly say that we've been brought to in close contact with what this book really has to offer you. Then, as I said, you there are three parts of vibrations: your mouth, what do you say to yourself? Your sexual organs, what are you getting involved with? It can either make or mar you. Then your thoughts, which is the last thing and the most important thing at this point, as we've it's as we can really find out in life that is your thoughts. So at this point, I'd just like to, if anyone has questions, I would like to, can we take questions and run through as we run through each chapter? Thank you. So any questions? So as we run through each chapter, or if you have any questions that you have. So please feel free to ask any question as we go. So, but briefly, while we prepare our questions, so it's just mainly the brain, your brain, the chapters of the book. It talks about your brain being one of your greatest, your assets, how it works, your imaginations is in your brain. How are you using your imaginations? Are you actually using it to destroy yourself or to build yourself up? Then your subconscious mind, what are you feeding into? Are you feeding thoughts of greatness or thoughts of emptiness or nullness into it? So it actually talks about that. Then we actually talk about sexual transmutation in a particular chapter of that book. How are you using your sexuality? Are you just dissipating energy, dissipating yourself around everywhere, or are you actually using it in your business? Because uh, actually from this book, you actually get to learn that how you can use your sexual attractiveness with your that energy within you to actually sell things, to do other things, to be able to create things because it's the creative energy within you. So when it's not really channeled, we just get ourselves dissipating, hanging out with people we shouldn't be hanging out with, having soul ties with people which we shouldn't be having soul ties with. And these things hinder us one way or the other. And for some people, comes with a very, very dire consequence of catastrophe. Then, if you also look at it, you also think about faith. Faith is very important because there are times in the journey of life which you actually, well, it takes faith to climb upwards. It takes zero faith to fall, to climb down its stairs, but it takes faith to climb it up. Sometimes it's going to be as if it's not going to work. But everyone that has achieved, whether you possible. And at the end of the day, God has set certain principles in the you easily take no for an answer. So it takes persistence to actually become rich or any form of success story that you want in your life. Then we can also go to another chapter that talks about planning. So whatever, it's not just about being rich or have, but whatever you need, whatever you want in life, how do you plan to get it? Do you want to win a championship? Do you want to raise a nice family? What are your plans about it? So it's very important. How do you put pen to paper? How are you going to do it? Because even it's written that God actually planned and designed the world. So if the Almighty actually designed the world and said you and I are of no match of who should be those that help us to get these things done. Then you might also ask again in another chapter where it talks about actually maximizing the vibrational energy in your brain. How do you motivate yourself, stimulate yourself to bring those creative thoughts to pass that will draw your life forward? I found that, for example, for myself, waking up 4 o'clock, 5 a.m., it actually helps you to reason more, reason deep, and those ideas that actually are quiet, even at that point in the morning when nobody's disturbing your mind. It's just like a temporal zone where between um nobody's calling you, nobody's looking for your attention as such. And those ideas really, once you apply it in your business or whatever area of your life, those ideas that come fresh that in the early morning, in the calmness of mind, in the mind. Because this book also makes us understand that it is the calm mind that gets things done. The decisions we make while we're in a hurry, in a state of anxiety, are actually not really the best decisions. But even in the midst of this, cutting edge decisions that you have to make in order to get out of a particular situation or unfavorable situation in which you have. And it also talks about having a mastermind group. People to grow, become better versions of yourself. You hang around people that talk down on you, or you hang around words. Around people that think about small things, most likely you are going to think about small things. For example, I usually share with people that it's an African thing, maybe from my own part of the country, Southwest, that the average Yoruba person, while you just go on the road, on the street, before you can find people talking about good ideas, how to move things forward, 80% of them are always talking about this person, that person, this person offended me, Tinubu is not good, Buhari is not good, and things like that. We only find a little percentage of people that actually thinking, oh, how do we make this thing forward? What do we add? How do we change our lives and everything like that? So these things, when you actually see them, and that's why you see the state at which Africa is in at the moment as compared to white people in other or people in other hemispheres of the world. They talk about mainly about things, how to change things, how to change the world, and not just merely about thinking about who offended you, trivial things about human interactions and things like that. So your mastermind group, who do you form your plans with? Who are your team? You have who do you have in your winning team in life, or do you have a losing team in your corner? So it's also basically to say that the book also points us in the direction of having hope, because hope is what you have when you can't have faith. For example, when all faith, you don't even have the strength to have faith. It's hope that you are left with. Hope that even these last steps, these things you are doing, this last flex, you put it into your work, into your life, can save you out of it. And which hope is a very important and integral part of human, because it's what we have as an anchor of our human soul at any point where we even don't find faith to move forward um, at that point. So we can also say it briefly that one of the most powerful principles about it is that if you really can imagine it, if you really can tell yourself the principles of autosuggestion, what do you tell yourself when you look in the mirror? Are you agreeing with the person that called you ugly, or that called you a loser, or that called you poor? Or are you going to speak something better into your own life? Are you going to allow people to bully you out with their minds? Because it said that words are seeds for feelings. So, and that's why it has been found that every great movement in human history was based upon words. Jesus Christ, words. Even the Nazi movement by Adolf Hitler, he was somebody that could arouse people's emotions, arouse their feelings with their words. And that's why he put on a machinery of human beings that was almost um, near to perfection to take over the world and to win over Europe during the World War. So it's very important what you um, speak to yourself, not just what everybody calls you, but what do you call yourself? If everybody calls you a loser, are you calling yourself a loser? Or you sit down and call yourself a champion long enough to make the changes which you need to know in order to become a champion at sight. So it said at that point that you can never grow really much beyond your thinking. If perchance you blow a little bit beyond your thinking will always, your level of thoughts will always bring you back to where you are. For example, if somebody that was poor, has no knowledge about money, and just won a lottery overnight, if he still holds on to that mentality, within a few days or a few years, you'll be back on the streets in the beggarly state that he was before he won that lottery. So our thoughts, our mindsets are actually very important in the way we do these things. And that's to sum up what Napoleon Hill actually has to say about this book. So I await any questions that you might have as we discuss this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Olumide. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
So let's begin to ask questions based on the chapters that we went through. So while we wait for questions, okay, Deborah, do you want to ask a question? Okay, so while we wait for input, contributions, questions, I like to mention some of the really important points that I saw as I was reading through the book. And it's important to mention that this book is a result of about, I think, 25 years research, over 20 years. The author actually spent over 20 years to research successful people. Okay, so more than 500 exceedingly wealthy people were studied for over 20 years to arrive at the principles of this book. So which means it's as practical as you can imagine. And really, I read this book a very long time. I think I actually bought it in 2012, 15th May 2012. I bought it at 600 naira. And I'm still having the book and it's still in order. So you can imagine the book, the first thing that caught my attention was, it said thoughts are things. You know, sometimes we think as we are thinking, it just came to my mind, you know. But really, if you pay attention to what you are thinking about, and you begin to write it, I don't know if it's ever happened to you that as you were thinking about something, maybe you were supposed to pray about it, but you were thinking about it. And then it just happens, like as if you had made a prayer about it. So it tells me that even when we are thinking, we're actually praying. They're actually very, very vital points. Also, I noticed in that chapter 1, when they said, when one is truly ready for a thing, it puts in its appearance. That is, when you're really ready for a thing, you take action. You will see it in the action that this person is actually ready. And a particular story was drawn out about Mr. Edison, Thomas Edison. I guess we know Thomas Edison, the scientist that came up with light bulb. And he had various innovations. And there was actually someone that went into partnership with him from nothing. As in, he had nothing. I think he even had to sell something to transport himself to his store or to his factory, to his lab. But on getting there, based on determination, he wanted a partnership. But at the time he went there, he wasn't yet qualified to be a partner. And that's something we should pay attention to, starting small. It's very critical. It's the key to all successes. If you ask any successful person, they will tell you, go and ask them, how did you start? You realize that a lot of people started from nothing. And so that's what I learned, part of what I learned from this chapter 1. So, well, Thomas Edison had marketing problems. He had a lot of innovations, but people were not ready to sell it. So at the initial stage, he was engaged to just begin some nominal work, very, very minute. That's what we need to learn as we think with when. So if you don't pass that, what he was doing at the time, even though it wouldn't become a partner, a big partner actually with Thomas Edison. So those were part of my lessons. So I would like those of us that read to also share her thoughts and questions before we move on. Kids, I think you read the book. Are you here? Okay, I guess I'll continue comments then because I have a question. I have some questions for our speaker, but let me.
All
So, okay, Kate, you can go ahead.
Okay, my network was unstable the other time. That was why I couldn't that was why I couldn't reply. Okay, so from the book, what I was able to pick out was thoughts are things, and that my thoughts are very powerful. And one of the things we did, one of the contents we created was that there is nothing you cannot achieve. That was one thing I picked from the book, that there is nothing, as long as I can put my mind to it, there is no limitations to where I can get to. There are no limitations to the things I can do. And when I get to that point where I am about giving up, then it's in that book that we can see.
Am I the only one that cannot hear Kate again?
No.
Oh, I can hear him as well.
Okay. Okay, Kate, are you still here? Okay, she's online, but we are not hearing her. Okay, when she comes back, so in chapter 1, I also observed an important lesson. There was a story of a young girl whose uncle was owing her mother $50. Okay, and then they needed so much money, or they were in penury, but the man was not paying back. So this small girl went into this man's factory or shop or whatever he was doing. And she stood there and went to ask for the money for her mother. And the uncle said she should go away. That the uncle said she should go away anyway. He wasn't ready to respond. Then she would say, okay, and then she will not move. Then the uncle continued working. Then he turned and still found her there and said, I said you should go away. She would say, okay. Then she will still not move. Sure, she's got to collect the money today. When the man was tired of her sights, he gave her the $50. Then she left. And the person observing was like, what magic did you do? Did this small girl do to this adult man, very stubborn man, the man that cannot be bent? And then he yielded. So in the course of the book, they mentioned the importance of strong desire and persistence, knowing exactly what you want and staying true to it. If you don't know what you want, there is no way you can get it. If you are waiting for, at least it usually happens very well. Those of us in recruitment, they'll say, what kind of job do you want? Anything. I always say that anything is nothing. It is no job. Okay, when you now ask those same set of people, okay, anything like cleaner, they'll say no. But you said anything. So you've got to be specific. If you need to take time to go and think about what you want to do with your life, it is as important as the action you want to take, or as important as trying to get help. Anything is nothing. So I also learned that desire and persistence. Okay, so the question I really want to ask, I saw somewhere, is under faith, Mr. Lumide. So, faith is, it's not easy when all around you seems like it's against what you are having faith in. It doesn't seem to be working, right? It looks like, okay, you're asking me to have faith, but the reality is saying otherwise. So I think I would like us to draw more around this. And then they mentioned something very important. For my own book, it's page 56. It says, from the analysis of the work and achievements of hundreds of men of outstanding accomplishments, there was the influence of a woman's love behind nearly every one of them. So I was thinking this would be under sex transmutation, but I saw it under faith. And it's I think this struck me a long time ago. In fact, I underlined it in the book a long time ago, that out of everybody that they check, these successful men, all of them had the influence of the love of a woman. So is this part of faith too? Can you just help us talk more about this faith and how to scale this stage when everything around you doesn't seem to be looking like it? And how this book buttresses that point? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that question. When it actually says about the love of a woman, it's just actually majorly talking about sometimes you are motivated because of our nature as human beings. So the physical attractions you have for people, it doesn't really mean the love as well. But people could do different things to prove a point, to win over a lady or to win over a man at any point. So that achievement. But it's also a known fact that men thrive, or women also thrive, when you have a man or a woman that supports you in your corner. So it's that as I said, is it's a fuel for your feelings, for your emotions, that can drive you, that can help you overcome any obstacle. As it was said, that the feeling of being in love sometimes can be um close to comparison with like cocaine. So at that point, that stimulation to arise and above that, to be able to actually do that. And that's why I said, yeah, women or men can stimulate you to achieve great things or to do stupid things as well. So that's the point you can bring out in that question. Yeah. So as I said, as you also said, you said yes, there will be different points of chaos, but at the same point, we all have to find different things. The good Lord leaves different things in our paths that helps us to find the faith and the strength to move on. It might be the loss of somebody, or somebody's a nice word, or just somebody just putting a banner on the wall with just a simple quote. I remember when I was in OAU having a rough time academically, somebody just put it on a signpost, on a banner. I said, and he asked the question, is failure final? So, and I started thinking about it, and I started working on it. And years after I started succeeding, anytime I looked at it and it asked the question, is failure final? I'll tell myself, while looking at that signpost, I'll say, no, it's never final. So those things, different things, can give you faith to overcome.
All right, thank you very much. So, Kate, get ready to come back with your points. Let me just talk about this faith. This faith, it made me also link to, I think I posted something yesterday that talks, I saw it somewhere that, the first step is usually the most important. When you have an idea or something you need to do, and then you begin to procrastinate, in a short while, you may not have faith in that idea again if you don't act on it. So I think, Lucky, you are disturbing us a bit. So, Lucky, please mute yourself. I don't know, I can't see you again. Okay, so it tells me that part of the practice of faith is that when an idea comes, take action. Instead of waiting, and then you think about it, then you will plan, what if it fails? Then you go back again, and what if it's not perfect yet? What if people abuse me? So for me, I've learned that in the course of life, faith is acting even when things are not perfect. Don't worry about what people will say. That first action is what you need. If it's not perfect, when you need help, there are people who know you need help to make it perfect, but it is important to take that very first step. And I think that's what the principle, chapter 8, also talks about. Decision, the mastery of procrastination. Mr. Lumide, we like to talk more about procrastination, how it's affecting so many of us, and how it was dissected in this book.
Yes, thank you for that question. Procrastination, yes, it's a killer of very, very big dreams. So being decision is a very important because either as men or as women, we'll have to make decisions at every point of our lives. Even a baby that's born today will have to make decisions for himself one day. So I think from there we can see that you have to be decisive. And as I said, it's the quiet mind that gets things done, that makes those decisions for you. And you have to actually take time to make sure you do what you need to do now. Because if you postpone it till tomorrow, because that's one of the things lessons you get from the book, is because sometimes you have to do good things even when you don't feel like it. Sometimes you have to move around and relate to people even when you don't feel like it, to motivate yourself to get those things. So your decision making, if you are too slow to make decisions, it will cost you. If you are too fast in making the wrong decisions, it will cost you. So you have to get a balance between it in order to make that decision. So, and I think the decisions, to make the right decisions, we should always seek to get the right knowledge in order to make that, and the calmness of mind to make the right choice at every point, and not just out of desperation. I think that will guide us a long way.
Thank you very much. Kate.
Okay, ma. Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, sir. Good evening, everybody. So I'm sorry for the other time. My network went off. So from the book, I was able to learn that the mind is a powerful tool. And whether you think or imagine and believe it is what you get. Whatever you believe in your mind or what you think in your mind is what you get. You cannot keep putting negative thoughts in your mind and keep getting positive things. It has to be negative things that you keep getting. And one thing I realized again is that when you fail, it's an opportunity to start again and to succeed at it. So when you fail, failure does not mean the end of a thing. Failure means that you have to start again. This way, this time around, you have to be strategic and look at what caused failure in the first place and reapply them into what you're trying to do. And he talks about new ideas. I learned that new ideas, don't be afraid to start new ideas, and don't kill your ideas before you start them. And to achieve anything, you have to desire it and be sure that when you put in whatever you put into this thing is going to work. And he talked about knowledge, that there's general knowledge and there's also specialized knowledge. And other thing, one thing I learned at the end is that thoughts are things, and then your mind is a very powerful tool in whatever you want to achieve in life, in everything about your life. Your mind is the most important tool you have, and you have to make use of it diligently. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, kids. Thank you for adding your input. Chin Wemere mentioned in the chat room that also, while you think it, keep saying positive things to yourself. No limitations, actually. That's what she said. I think part of what the book says is that, any limitations that you think is existing is actually firstly in your mind. For example, if you think this place is too high, I can't jump it, it's actually in your mind. It may not actually be high. I remember way back that this particular statement shaped my mind. So when I'm fearful of certain things, I realize that I tell myself that it's actually your imagination. And once I begin to act on it, I realize that it's actually my thoughts, really, truly. So most of the limitations that we have set, we are the ones that set it for ourselves. It doesn't actually exist. So those are part of the lessons from the book. Is there any other person that was able to read any chapter or has question for Mr. Olumide?
Yeah, I have a question.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. My question goes to the speaker. So I have this question about self-confidence and self-esteem. So my question is this: he made mention of, he talked about self-esteem, but I still want him to throw more light on it. So the question I have about self-esteem is, they say, like, how can one build and then maintain a strong self-esteem? Because I know that this self-esteem of a thing, like, it's not everybody that is usual to it. Like, sometimes when you build a self-esteem, at some point you find out that you no longer have this self-esteem. So how can one build and maintain a strong self-esteem? So that's my question.
Sorry, please, can you come again? I think the network was crunchy at the point.
Okay, yeah. I was asking about self-esteem. So you were talking about self-esteem. So I still want you to throw more light about the self-esteem. So I was asking, how can one build and maintain a strong self-esteem? So what are the factors that influences this self-esteem? So I will need you to throw more light on it, sir.
Okay, yeah. If I get you right, you're talking about how to develop a right self-esteem, right?
Yeah. How to develop a right self-esteem and
Yeah,
also
yeah.
in that self-esteem.
You are muted. Mr. Tunde, you are muted. We are not hearing you.
Yeah, no, it was
Okay.
a little glitch. Yeah, so as I was saying, self-esteem and confidence, it's actually built upon how you see yourself, and it starts with not believing the bad things people say about you, or if somebody says something negative about you, just take a look at yourself. Is this something you can improve? Is this something you can do? Then it's just really taking time not to believe the lies that somebody told you while you were younger, or while things weren't this well for you. Then from a Christian perspective, it's seeing yourself how God sees you. Because for example, if God is going to do any great thing with you in any sphere of life, he needs you to believe not just in him, he needs you to believe in yourself. And that's why Moses was doubtful, and God made sure his mind was changed before he could move to the children of Israel. Gideon was doubtful, and God also made sure his mind was changed before it is. So how do you talk to yourself? Do you actually talk to yourself? Do you motivate yourself? Because to be frank with you, you are your greatest psychologist. You are your greatest motivator. Even when nobody is seeing anything in you, how do you talk to yourself in those private times? Because um, that's it. So don't not letting your circumstances, where you were born, how you look to define you, but improving yourself. And even to boost your self-confidence, how do you dress? It goes a long way too in showing things about your self-confidence. So it's actually what you do with what you hear, either negative or positive. Do you use it to build yourself, or do you agree with it to tear yourself down? So you can build your confidence that way.
Hello, Lucky. Is that okay?
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate that. Okay, thank you. So my question is addressed now. Thank you.
Any other question, comment, contribution? Okay, so I think I would also like to point out and there was a proposition and they found find gold there. And he found gold, then he needed the resources. So he went to meet his family members, everybody contributed money, they bought equipment, they bought everything. So they started digging and they actually found some was it all some precious stones. Then after some time, the flow stopped. So and then they kept digging, they didn't find. After some time, they said, "Oh, it's like we've and so they made a lot of some money from that, from that, from whatever they did. Then it was quite successful, but they stopped. Then they sold all the equipment and sold the land very cheaply to somebody. So, and before the other person now gave up on the land or did anything, he went to call an expert, a geologist, to look at the land and tell him the prospect of the land. And then the man said, there is gold 3 feet to where those other people stopped. So they dug, and exactly 3 feet to where the other people stopped, they found gold again. And then that's how the other man entered into endless wealth. What did I pick from that? I wrote it, I said, seek expert counsel before giving up. Anything you think you are doing that doesn't seem to be working, if you ever think it's a good idea or something that seems to be working or whatever it is, before you give up, go and seek expert counsel. Because what actually happened was that the geologist now explained that sometimes the line of the flow of the precious stone is blocked or is stopped. And then that was what happened, that they thought they could not find gold again. And for the rest of his life, that man learned a lesson from that. That's why he now succeeded in insurance. He never gave up on anything anymore. Even when they tell him no, he will go back there and go and market again. He said he lost fortune by giving up a land that had gold because he thought that was the end of it. So let's take note of that. Very important. Mr. Olumide, do you want to say anything around that?
Yeah, it's a very vital life lesson that sometimes, as a teacher of mine once said, that if 20 people go looking for gold, if the first 19 people dig and dig and dig that and they give up, that is the 20th person that goes last that actually finds the gold. So it's just a lesson about knowing when to give up and knowing when not to give. So, and actually promoting us that you should do things with knowledge. So in every aspect of your life. And I think if you do that, then you won't run at a loss at any point.
Yeah,
That's the basic
thank you
lesson.
so much. Our time is almost up, so I'll just mention a few things I also noted. It says, when riches begin to come, so initially it will look like it will not come. You might be working for years. And then the person said, "It don't leave my life if I continue like this." Anyway, so it says, when riches begin to come, they come so quickly. Consistent. People have seen that you put effort into this thing. Let me find the gold on that part. So most of us, the problem already in another line. After 1 or 2 years, it's like this. Magnet of resources in that area. All right. Short to you before questions contribution. Concluding thoughts.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that. Because even if you are going to if you believe
Also, no limitations except the ones created in our mind. He also mentioned about how do you think about yourself, why some principles don't work. Your location is very important. If you see that you've tried the principle is not working, people. When you find yourself in the midst of achieve something that you may be in the midst of the wrong people because they will continue to make you feel inadequate. So even the little good part that you think you have, you won't build on it. You keep dwelling on that you are not good at. And then we talk about you have a lot of energy. A lot of creativity comes energy into creative thought actually works instead of dissipating it all around. Then we talk about faith, taking action, overcoming doubts with action. You know, I think one of the posts I also saw says that with that and dwell on them and then in life. It's been a great time. Thank you everyone for joining us. Some links to be shared in the chat. You can follow us on social media if you are not yet following us. Links for feedback. I think Tochukwu can share it. And then our announcement. So we have a mentoring program that is starting in July, and we are already recruiting mentors in various professional fields. So Thriving Hand in Hand is an annual program where we mentor women and get them stabilized in financially viable career paths. Very important. So the essence is that do something with your life. Yes, it's good to be given money. It's good to be a guy's wife and sit down, cross your leg and enjoy, but at least add value, pursue something, you know, create value for the world around you. That is going to be a second part of this magnet of resources. Talking to us practically about how to still become magnet of resources, and the challenges you come read this book, relevant questions. We have a feedback form in the room. If you want to know more about us, please go to Instagram and see our link tree for purposeful women. Link tree, you see it's there. So mentors in the field that we have stated, is brand and marketing, career path, data analysis, software engineering, back end, front end, graphics design, and June 2023. So we have some 2 days to go. It's a 6 months program, and we hope that as many people that need it will take advantage of it. So our post-event activity in this book, Think and Grow Rich. If you need more, we appreciate it. Members of the Thriving Community, we love you, and all our sponsors that is giving blood to the life of Thriving while waiting. God bless you indeed, in Jesus' name. So we should take a good picture. If you're in a good place, can you put on your video? Let's take a picture for this event. Pictures on. Jennifer, thank you for joining. Jenny, are you able to put on your Madam Tolu? We have a, can we just sing happy birthday to Mrs. Tolu? She's here today. I'm Engineer Tolu. Today is her birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday to you.
you. We should go and release that bomb. Congratulations, Engineer Tolu. For blessings, many happy returns to you. We wish you God's blessings in the new year. Have a mighty, great one. Thank you for joining us.
I could get a recorded version of this meeting.
Yes, it will be available on YouTube.
All right.
Once conclude uploaded, we'll notify you.
Thank you.
Okay, Kate and MSTV, are you able to put on your video?
I asked a question, but the question was not answered.
Okay, what's the question, please?
Transforming one's sexual energy.
Sorry, is it, who did I mute? Who was asking question? Jenny, right?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Yes.
Being transformed into creative thoughts. So I'm curious to know, how do you do that? How can one transfer, be able to
Transmutation.
Yeah, it's can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So actually I was trying to answer the question when is currently a married person as a single person, they are meant sleeping around or just exercising anytime it comes.
after level. Step, so it's that picture now of face and Sharon. Sharon, are you showing your face so we can close? Okay, Jennifer, are you? All right. Thank you so much. It's been great connecting with us again. Let's keep the joy round, and we look forward to connecting more and more. Thank you, Mr. Olumide. We
Thank you so
appreciate
much,
you
Ma.
for
Thank you so
joining
much,
us.
sir.
God bless you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you
Thank you for
very
having me.
much. This was so interesting. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you for
Thank
allowing me.
you. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Lucky, thank you
Thank you.
so much for joining and helping us. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And Sharon, it's good to have you join us for the first time. I hope you had a good time. Thank you for joining us.
Yes,
Oluwayomi, we've
nice
not
being
had
here.
your sweet voice. All right, I guess others are busy.
I
So,
actually sang. You heard my voice when I was singing for Tolu.
oh, so you were the one that pitched so high.
No, not me. Not me.
It's
That
so I
wasn't
think
me.
it was Jenny that pitched very high.
Like,
All right. Engineer Tolu, so how is the birthday going? What are we eating?
she's gonna send our cake.
So I hope you had a good one, though.
Yeah.
We look forward to seeing pictures. Pictures. Wait, so I think you are in Oshogbo, right? You are in Oshogbo now. Okay, Mr. Olumide is in Ilesha, not Oshogbo. My mind went to Oshogbo. Okay. All right.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Take care, everyone. Have a blessed week ahead.
Yeah.